The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
Yes, indeed. We're getting off to a good start here. This is the Warren and Bradley Show. I'm one of your hosts, Bradley.
And I'm the other host, Warren.
Is this like the most accident-prone start we've ever had to a show
We're having
before?
a very difficult time getting going.
I guess
here.
none of you will actually hear this, but first the recording software was not working, and then
we started recording.
We
then,
started recording.
The train came by.
There was the train. We had to stop for the train. Then I ended up just recording over what we had already recorded while we were trying to speak. I don't know.
We got up to go pee.
Yeah, I did have to go to the bathroom. We need a recording engineer. If anyone wants to intern at the Warren and Bradley show.
Yeah, if you want to make your resume look really good, you can probably get in here and like wear some headphones and like point at us.
It's an unpaid internship.
Yeah, it's very unpaid.
But the real world experience that you'll be getting will be more than worth it.
We'll give you like
opinion.
life advice.
Yeah. And just being able to sit at the feet of greatness and sort of soak in everything that we're saying.
None of these things are true. You'll get nothing.
Anyway, I don't know. We already had like a whole little intro going. I don't know if we want to try to recreate that or not. Basically, I said, "How was your weekend, Warren?"
Oh, it was okay. You know?
And I said,
"You were angry.
Did you do much drink?" Oh, yeah. I said I was angry. I was in a very bad mood most of this weekend. Maybe we'll get into that again.
You had a rough night last night.
It was okay. It was just, I was in a mood, and I don't know exactly why I was in a mood. It was just, as I was saying before, which
you won't hear.
So
we probably don't need to refer back to it.
Yeah, maybe I won't talk about that. But basically, it was one of those nights where every person on the face of the earth seemed as though they were put on the face of the earth for the express purpose of irritating me, which I guess is kind of a narcissistic view of the world,
really.
if you think about it. But it just, everything everyone was doing was so annoying to me. It was one of those very, like, angsty teenage where you feel like, oh, all these people, I don't belong anywhere, and everyone
without a cause.
It's like everyone's an alien, or you're an alien, or something. And then on top of that, I had some games attempted to be played with me by a girl I had once dated, and we've discussed the evil that women are capable of on several occasions. But I'm assuming that since I don't date men, I'm assuming that men are capable of the same amount of evil, but maybe it's a different kind of evil. It's a different kind of evil,
the men.
Yeah.
Right, yep.
But she was just trying to play these ridiculous games, and I don't know if she'll ever hear this show, so it's probably not a problem. I won't mention any names, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Basically, she was done with me, whatever. I think she ended up getting engaged or something after that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then that fell through. And so last night, when I'm already angry and irritated with people, and it was one of those nights where sometimes drinking will bring the mood up, but last night it was just intensifying the angry mood that I was already in. I get a random text from her that's just like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm where I live. I'm where should I be?"
It's a good answer.
"Oh, I just really miss you for some reason." Actually, she didn't say reason, she said raisin. But I'm assuming she meant reason.
There's a chance that she could have meant raisin, but I don't know
what
that would mean.
I don't really know what that would mean either. And so I said, really? That's interesting. Because the last time we had any sort of interaction, you canceled the plans that we had and then never made any attempt to contact me again afterwards. So it seems kind of strange that suddenly you would be missing me. And she said, no, it's just I'm hanging out with the girls and I just would really like to see you. Can you come down here? Like, no, I can't come down there. I've been drinking. Basically...
Oh, she wasn't up here. She was down there.
No, she wasn't even in town.
She
she was away. A place that
One county over?
One county over. place that I would have to drive to.
A little off the little grid there. That place where she lives.
A little bit. It's kind of.
It's got a horrible reputation.
And she just kept sending me these obnoxious texts, and then finally I sent her a little mini novel where I was. In most circumstances, I would just say, okay, whatever, and just kind of let it lie. But because I was in a bad mood, I had to tell her exactly why what she was doing was irritating and explain to her exactly what she was doing, even though she knew exactly what she was doing. So my explanation to her was, you have no desire to actually see me. Mm-hmm. All you're trying to do is play a little game where you try to get my attention and try to get me to express interest in seeing you, so then you can then tell me that you actually don't want to hang out. Mm-hmm. Which is, I guess I see the point in that it's some sort of self-esteem boost.
Oh, yeah, it's good for your self-esteem.
But it's still, I don't do shit like that. Do you do shit like that?
No, it's not really my game.
Yeah. This seems to be the providence of women. I think that's what they do.
Yeah, I think...
And the
men contact the women and try to get them to come over to their house.
Yeah.
But a man would rarely be like, let's make a dinner date, and then cancel it and feel better because a woman said she would come to the dinner date, and then he canceled it. And he's
right.
like, I'm still desirable to women now.
So what's the analogous, like, what are the things that men do, instead of this? Instead of the ridiculous game, it's kind of like a game of tag, and then you bow out at the last minute.
I don't know if men feel the same way about being, like, attractive or desired by women.
Well, this is the thing that never makes any sense to me, is that men are, for the most part, the pursuers, or that seems to be the way that it should be set up, where we're constantly like, trying to get these women, and women are constantly rejecting us all the time. Mm-hmm. And
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but they don't seem to get it. They don't seem to understand that that's the case, or even if they do, they don't live it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're a guy, though, you don't worry about being desired by people that you're not actually gonna, like, have some sort of relationship with or have some sort of contact with. Like, women, it's very important to them, even if there's, like, a guy that likes them that isn't the guy that's the most desired by the other women.
Yeah,
they want to get the best guy they can get that's most desired by the women, even if they don't like that guy the best.
Right.
Because there's always this weird competition to get the most desirable guy.
Yeah.
And men don't operate that way. If a man sees a woman that he thinks is attractive and the other guys are like, ugh, he's like, this is great for me because
he doesn't have any competition.
I don't have any competition, and I get to swoop right down on this girl, and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Whereas women, if that was true of a woman saw a man that she thought was attractive, and all the other girls were like, ew, that guy's gross.
Then she would no longer be attracted.
She would no longer be attracted to him.
Yeah, that's true. Because they do talk about that, where if you're in a bar and you look around and you can see men who attractive women are speaking to, then the other women in the bar will see that, and then suddenly, even if they had not thought that person was attractive previously, once they see attractive women, or at least women who they consider attractive, speaking to this guy, then suddenly his attractiveness goes up in their mind.
And his attractiveness also goes up if he's like, doesn't seem to care if you're interested in him. He's like, whatever. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, that's so desirable.
I think a certain woman is attracted to that, maybe. But
lots of women are attracted to that. And, yeah, but with a guy, it's like, if a girl's like, ooh, what's going on? You're like, hey, this is great. Rather than, sometimes with women, they're like, wait a second, why are you coming after me? What's your problem?
Yeah. They just don't seem to realize that they have all the power, or maybe they do, and they're just taking advantage of it and playing the fool and acting as though they don't understand what they're doing.
Well, it's just like they have a lot of power, but it's like, even when you have a lot of power, you keep, like, doing something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't just exercise the power and be like, no, I can have this person. You always have to be, like, working this game within the system, you know? I mean, Stalin was never happy with having all the power. You know what I mean?
He
kept, like, purging intellectuals, killing peasants in the Ukraine. It just wasn't. It never was enough for him.
Is this an analogy to?
Women are
the
like
communist
Stalin.
purges of the 50s.
Yeah. It's exactly like that.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So now that I've been complaining about women, after hearing this, women will be even less likely to have any interest whatsoever.
In you?
In me.
In this podcast, too.
Or in the podcast, too, probably.
Yeah.
Actually, I was looking at our insights, our analytics online.
Yeah.
And apparently it's 57% women who enjoy this podcast compared to...
They enjoy it or they just download it?
Well, apparently I mean,
There's a difference.
It doesn't say if they've enjoyed it or not,
No.
but they're I guess it was on the Facebook page or something. They were the ones most likely to like the podcast, and it was 43% men. It was an interesting demographic breakdown. It was mostly 18 to 24.
I think I saw that on there.
Yeah, it was our target demographic.
Was it? I thought it was
apparently.
like 24 to 35 was most. Of the
No, it was 18 to 24 was the most, and then the 24 to 35 was like 8% or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So we skew a little young. We got the young people.
Yeah,
They're into us.
Better than the other way, you know what I mean?
So more. We have to keep mentioning this because we forget to often. There's the website, www.warrenandbradley.com.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Facebook page, www.facebook.com.
I don't think you need to say www.
Warren and Bradley. I like saying www.
Well, I know. I still like to say it too, but then all the younger people are always like, don't say that. Everyone knows that already.
Well, I don't care. I like to say it. www. And then we also have a Twitter account.
www.twitter.com.
Well, I don't know if we have to do that. We could
Search
just say
for at Warren and Bradley.
At Warren and
or
Brad.
at Warren and Brad, sorry.
Because, they won't let us do a username longer than 15 characters, was it?
Longer than 15.
So
that's
at
15.
Warren and Brad, but don't ever refer to me as Brad. That's just the way to get on the Twitter account, but don't actually ever say, hey, Brad, what's up?
Everyone calls you Brad.
No, they don't. Well, you do.
I think so. Most people call you Brad.
Well, I always introduce myself to people as Bradley.
And then they call you Brad. And they talk about you behind your back and call you Brad.
Ugh, that's my fucking name.
Nobody says Bradley.
Well, a lot of people do. Some of our friends do. All my family refers to me as Bradley.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I'll make a point of trying to say Bradley.
Well, you don't have. You've known me since I was in kindergarten, so that's...
I'll see what I can do. Well...
Oh, and one more thing.
Okay.
To get a hold of us, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com. We want questions. We want listener response.
Listeners
interaction.
better if you're watching
Listener,
us. So
yeah.
we want to hear from you too, but we're just going to contact the police.
Okay, go on.
Don't we have our own individual podcast things?
We do, and that's more for agents, talent scouts.
Oh, really?
Who might want to get in touch
So if
with
someone's
one of
trying
us
to
individually.
contact you and is like, I'm trying to get Brad away, I don't want Warren to know because Warren's
Exactly,
just dragging
yeah.
Warren along. I want to put you on a
Warren is
radio
dead
show.
weight. Yeah, exactly. So if you fall into one of those categories, you can get in touch with me at Bradley at warrenandbradley.com and Warren at warrenandbradley.com.
Am I going to start listening to my favorite podcast one day and hear you on there with somebody and then I'll be like, wait a second, isn't that my podcasting partner? And then I'll show up here and you won't be here.
What if it's the Warren and Bradley show and there's just no Warren or no Bradley?
Well,
It's just
the
one
thing
of
is,
us.
I think you'd have to bring in a different Warren.
I wonder if anyone would notice.
So I didn't go out last night. You had an angry night.
I had an angry, bitter night.
Yeah, I stayed in, and I ended up watching my first episode ever of Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yo Gabba Gabba?
Yo Gabba
What the hell
Gabba.
is that?
It's a children's show on Nick Jr.
Okay.
It's very strange. There's a DJ who wears a big hat and has a boombox he opens up and takes these toys out.
A boombox. Isn't that really
It's
80s?
very urban. Yeah, it's like an 80s rap themed children's show for very small children. He put these toys down and they come to life. Mm-hmm. The one's from the moon. He's orange and tall. And there's a robot. And there's this other purple thing. And they talk about, eating your snack because it's good for you. Mm-hmm. Brushing your teeth. And they sing very long songs about eat your food, and then they the carrot's eat me. No, I think at first this one character was eating the cheese, and he ate his sandwich. Mm-hmm. He was I'm done, and they showed all the food in his stomach, and it was having a party in there. Then he walked away, and the carrot and the green beans were crying. And he's like, what? And they're like, we want to go to the party too. So he put them in there, and they show them they're all partying inside. Brushing your teeth, they're they go through the sequence. You take the brush out, and then you put the toothpaste on it, and
a lot of people do that in the opposite order, and then just.
Well, I know it can really be a problem. And Mark Mothersbaugh is on the show all the time apparently, and he does something where he draws something. And Elijah Wood was on there, and the robot made him materialize. And Elijah Wood showed us a new dance, and all the characters did a dance.
So is this hugely popular?
I think it's very popular apparently.
And
People talk about it.
why were you watching it?
We were looking for something to watch, and I was like, oh, Yo Gabba Gabba's on Netflix. Bam. We watched it. And it was great, and I think I'm going to watch a lot more.
I guess you had a better night than I did.
Yeah, watching children's programming.
Yeah, I remember I was always kind of freaked out by the dancing food things, because when I used to watch, Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, they always had the hunk of cheese. Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah, because you wanted the kids to eat the cheese because it was good for their bones. And
yeah,
stuff.
I guess it was paid for by the Dairy Council or something like that. But he always had a little top hat and a cane, and he would go, I hanker for a hunk of... it was like a cheesy slab of slunka. I hanker for a hunk of cheese. And I never understood why he wanted people to eat him.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's too, because on Yo Gabba Gabba, they show them going in the stomach, and like the grape juice went in there, and it was just having a great time. But it's like really these acids just burning you up.
Yeah,
when you
they
go in
don't
there.
show the actual, going through the small,
Like,
large,
it's really a
small
horrible
intestine
torturing
and then eventually being
that they're
sucked
dying.
of all
Yeah.
nutrients and then
And
shat
out.
at the
They
end.
don't ever show that. They don't show a
Yeah.
little piece of poop like dancing in the toilet, being like, "I want to join the party." Then the thing
the
like
kid
eats the
eats the
poop. Yeah, these aren't the lessons you want to teach children. I don't think they ever make poop like look happy and something you want to eat. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
You'll get very sick if you eat poo.
I don't know. Would you?
Yes. This comes up often. You know Dan Savage,
Yeah.
sex columnist.
Oh, they talk about the fecophilia.
Yeah,
kind of
and then
shit.
he's like, "Don't do that."
Yeah,
It's
well,
yeah.
you shouldn't need an expert telling you not
Well,
to eat shit.
well, you didn't know it was that necessarily that bad for you.
I mean, I wouldn't do it just...
No, I mean just for like cleanliness sake.
Well, people talk about drinking their own urine all
That's
the time.
fine.
Well, because it comes out sterile.
It's
supposedly.
sterile. You can drink all. Well, actually, you shouldn't drink a lot of urine because that's trying to get it out of your body. But you can
Kids
drink somebody else's
don't drink a
urine
lot
and
of
you'll be
urine.
fine.
But, okay, what if it's your own shit?
No, it's bad because there's like bacteria in there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know, and you'll get like some sort of horrible infection. You get very sick.
Okay, well, okay, yeah, because that's true when you get gut shot.
Oh yeah, you don't want to leave the poop leaking into the rest of your body.
Yeah.
If you have anything going on with your intestines where poop's leaking into you, you got a problem, buddy.
Let's say shit.
Shit. Okay, I'm just kind of keep it clean. The podcast is explicit, isn't it?
It is listed as explicit on iTunes. Yeah, I think there's just something about poop. It makes me feel like I'm 8 years old or something if I say that word. It's like I can't say butt. I have to say ass.
Oh really? How about
like-
rump?
Rump is even worse.
Tush.
Because if you see a girl walking by and she's
Yeah.
bam, and you go, ooh, look at that butt. Yeah,
Well, that just you don't use butt in like a sexy way.
maybe.
Got a sexy butt.
But you don't say, I'm going to kick your butt.
No, it's always like pejorative when you say butt.
Yeah.
It's like something you're gonna like assault someone's butt.
You're going to rip that butt apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
You better
ass.
get your butt out of here.
Yeah.
And then if you're like, ooh, I'm gonna tap that ass.
Tap that butt. Tap
No,
that
you
rump.
don't say tap that butt. Tap that rump.
Yo, baby, let me tap that. Yeah, the rump. Tush, hiney. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Those
a
things.
lot.
There's all the euphemisms that parents say to children.
The other day I was talking to somebody and we were talking about having your mouth washed out with soap. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was something that happened to like kids our age that doesn't go on anymore. And I was talking about how I think I was 5 or 6 and I actually got my mouth washed out with soap for saying poop. And they were like, well, what were you supposed to say? And I was like,
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't allowed to say anything about it.
Yeah, because what is even milder than poop? Dumb.
Nothing. I guess there was nothing I could have said. If I ever referred to it, I just had to be mum and like mime it coming out or something.
How were you using the word? Were you
I
saying...
think I was like poop. Well, I mean, because it was forbidden. It was like forbidden fruit. So I was just like trying to use it
Okay,
like
so you
poop.
weren't using it, you weren't saying like, I have to go poop.
I think I may have used it as like a curse word. There was some bad
So maybe it was
girl
the intent.
from
It was
down the
intent.
street that like... I don't know where she lived, but I remember her living in a tree fort behind the field of her house, but that can't be right.
So was she... Okay, go on.
And she was always like, she has had that edge to her. She was always up to
Saying
no good.
Poop and pee.
And
all
she was
sorts
trying
of
to get
things.
me to say poop a lot, I think. And I think I finally like...
Was this girl like 47 and was actually a prostitute living in a tree fort?
I
behind your
remember her
house?
being larger than me. She may have been older than me.
This is getting kind of creepy.
I may have, in my child imagination, just assumed she lived there and thought nothing of it. Like the boxcar kids.
But she was a bad influence on you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the only time I ever got my mouth washed out with soap, I didn't really swear until I hit high school, and then I just
Yeah, you let loose.
let it rip. But there was a bad kid at our church.
Oh, yeah.
His name was Derek, I think.
Typical
Yeah, he was a
bad
little-
kid name.
little bastard. And he said dick all the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what dick meant.
No.
But I thought it was a funny word because he would say it and everyone was like, ooh. And I noticed it got a response.
Yeah.
And then one time, my older brother and I were playing cards or something, and he was trying to show me a card trick, and we were just sitting at the coffee table in front of my mom, and he said, I've got a trick. And I went, up your dick. Which, not realizing the I guess, appropriateness of the response. And my mom, I remember it seemed like every time my mom was punishing me, she always had her hair wrapped up in a towel, like
yeah.
after she had gotten out of the shower.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Ugh," and I could see the anger. And I had no idea why she was so pissed off. And then she shoved a bar of soap in my mouth. And it was a very weird experience because I didn't really feel punished by it. I just was like, why are you doing this?
Because it's not like painful. It's just kind of
It's
like,
just like-
doesn't taste good.
Yeah, that's
So
weird.
it's like I wouldn't do this voluntarily, but at the same time, it's not like this is the worst thing that could happen to
I
me.
guess the message was delivered. Like, I shouldn't say dick.
Yeah, look at you now, saying dick left and right.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is like pee and piss. I say piss. Got to go take a piss.
What are you supposed to say as a kid? Is that bad to say? Was it bad to say pee? I think you were allowed to say pee, right?
I said pee.
But I think piss was bad.
Piss was bad. But it's now if I'm sitting with a bunch of guys and we're at a bar drinking and someone's like, "Oh, I've got to go pee," then, you know.
You'd be like, "Oh, you're a pansy."
Yeah.
You'd be like, "You want to take this outside?"
little
You'd
foo-foo,
fight.
man.
We'd take my sister as a child when she was like a little kid, and I don't know, she's 5 or 6 years younger, and sit her down and just get her rhyming and go,
Oh, yeah,
truck,
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
luck, duck, and she'd get into it, and then she'd say the F word,
Inevitably,
and,
yes.
and we'd just be so pleased.
It's so entertaining.
Look what we did.
I also had a little sister who was 5 years younger, and that was also a source of great entertainment for us. I remember her saying shit all the time. We got her to say shit repeatedly. And of course we did it until she said it in front of our parents. We had the same parents. I think we always ended up getting punished, though, because they knew that we were the ones who put her up to it.
Oh, yeah, because it's not like she just picked it up somewhere.
No.
She's mostly hanging out with you guys, and you guys are bad,
Well,
obviously. Little criminal children.
We used to torture the hell out of her.
My brother and I just fought a lot. I think we were pretty okay with my sister. She didn't get the brunt of it.
I always hear about people really picking on their little sister and, like, actually abusing them, like hitting them and kicking them and stuff, and I never would have done that.
No.
That seems... I would torture her mentally, but I would never
Yeah.
actually do anything physical to her.
I have a hard time. I don't know if I had a sister that was, like, closer in age to me, if we would have, like, physically fought.
I don't think I would do that to a girl.
No, it feels weird, doesn't it? To,
Yeah.
like, beat up a girl, even if it is your sister.
The things, we just did things to her, like, we convinced her that we had an older brother in college.
Oh, yeah.
And she used to write him letters all the time. We convinced her there was a monster in her closet, and by using walkie-talkies, we would put one walkie-talkie in her closet, buried in blankets, and then
Oh, yeah.
we'd be in our room just like, and she would be so scared. And we also convinced her there was like a horrible portal to another dimension in her closet that monsters would come out of. And so we'd open the closet, my brother would get like a flashlight and go in there, and then he'd be the signs of struggling. You'd hear like, oh, screaming and monster voices and stuff. And then he would cover himself in the blankets.
Yeah.
And so my little sister, her hand shaking, like, would open the closet and see that he wasn't there. And be like, "Ah!" And they'd be like, don't worry. Because we were always at home alone babysitting her all the time,
Yeah.
basically.
That was a good choice by your parents.
Yeah, well,
apparently.
I know. We were like 11 or whatever at the time, too. And so then I would go in after him, and I'd put a rope around my waist, and I'd have her hold one end of the rope. And then
It's a very 80s movie concept,
yeah, it is.
isn't it?
It's kind of like Poltergeist or
Yeah.
something. And so then I'd go in after him, and again, the signs of struggle, like, oh, look, and like yelling her name. And then I'd go into the blankets, and then we could hear her just trembling outside the closet, and like, oh no. And she'd slowly open the door and see that we weren't there and just scream and run out of the room. And we were very committed to this too. We'd
Yeah.
wait in there for like 2 or 3 hours while she was just insanely freaked out.
Being a kid is just nothing but being scared all the time, though, isn't it? Because you have no control over your life. Everything's
Yeah.
like a complete mystery and frightening.
And people just do things, and you have no idea why
You
they're doing it.
don't know why they're doing it. You have no way of getting out of the situation you're in. You're just basically a prisoner. You're that's surrounded by giants all the time, at the mercy of their will.
I was a fairly fearless child compared to a lot of other people I know. I was never afraid of the dark. My older brother was afraid of the dark, and I used to torture him with that too. I wasn't shy, like I could go up to strangers. I didn't have a problem.
Yeah.
Other kids, if they don't see their parents around, they'd freak out, but I'd just be like, oh. And I can remember running around malls and things by myself. But I definitely use that to my advantage, because even kids who are of the same age as me, I would try to harness their gullibility for my own amusement. There was a little neighbor kid that we lived near who who was convinced that Bigfoot was real. And so
A lot of adults still believe that now.
well, yeah, but he thought he lived in his the wooded patch in his backyard. And so my older brother and I would just spend days and days constructing these elaborate ruses. We somehow procured this shaggy brown wig and made a paper mache Bigfoot head. And,
Wow.
yeah, and glued hair all over it and put it on a stick And then we'd be in the backyard like with this Bigfoot head stick. The kid would freak out. We actually had a laser tag. Remember laser tag?
Oh, yeah.
Where you had that thing you'd put on your chest that would beep.
Yeah.
And we told the kid that we had modified it to actually track Bigfoot.
Oh, as soon as it senses a Bigfoot, it
yeah.
beeps.
So it would be like beep. And he'd be, where, it's dark in the back, in the wooded area in the back of his house. And then beep, 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 beep. And then he would just and run inside. We used to take Pete's parts of the hair and kind of put it on little branches around and stuff, so he would think that Bigfoot had walked by. And
What if, he never figured out that was all just a ruse?
Well, part of me wonders if maybe he was allowing himself to believe it as
He
sort
must
of...
on some level, right?
Yeah, because I don't know... I don't know.
He probably would have gone to his parents and been like, Bigfoot's in the backyard.
Maybe. But they...
Tried to get some sort of evidence, or collected the hair and put it in little Ziploc
Well, he
bags
did, and he did.
Really?
He would take the hair, and he had a little thing in his room, this little Bigfoot shrine, or I don't know if it was a shrine, but it was the evidence that he had collected, because we would make footprints, we do all these things. I remember making plaster casts of Bigfoot footprints that we had found, and then at one point there was a dead cat. This is kind of horrible because it was somebody's poor pet, but we found a dead cat and we put it in his backyard and then put Bigfoot prints around it and put the hair off the wig, and he was convinced that Bigfoot had slaughtered the cat and left it there as a warning to him. But then there's the Yeti stories that... Yeah,
the Yeti. The Yeti, he's like the abominable snowman?
There's conflicting reports, Warren. But that's what he is. He's the abominable snowman. But there's... something about macaques or something living in the Himalayan mountains, and they would walk around with their little bear monkey feet, and then when the snow would melt, it would make the footprint look way bigger.
Oh, that will lead to it, right?
Yeah, because I think it was Sir Edmund Hillary had found this out or something, because he didn't believe in Bigfoot or the Yeti apparently, but he was like I'm going to disprove this it wasn't enough for him to climb Mount Everest. He also had to debunk the Yeti myth.
Tenek Norgay or whatever his name is didn't set him straight on this.
His little Sherpa.
Yeah, that poor guy. That Sherpa, so he went up there with him, right?
He basically, I think Sir Edmund Hillary was kind of in a lawn chair that was kind of tied to the Sherpa. That's
kind of what's going on, right?
And the Sherpa just dragged him up there.
So had some Sherpas previously gone up there that we just didn't know about?
Well, you know that it doesn't count if it's not a white person.
Yeah.
So basically, all the great discoveries, it's I'm the first white person who did this, so that's the only thing that counts.
Yeah. You'd think the first, Indian that saw, Christopher Columbus or something would have had, some sort of, famous
I don't know.
thing go on with him, but he just died of smallpox or something.
I think there was also the aspect that the Sherpa were why the fuck would we climb up to the top of the...
Oh, there's no reason to do it,
yeah.
Except for, if you're not going to get famous, Lhasa Times or something isn't going to publish a bunch of stuff about you.
I don't think so.
You're not going to get a big book deal.
They actually have to live their lives, and
they got to do
rich
stuff.
English. Or actually, I guess he's from New Zealand, wasn't he, Sir Edmund Hillary?
And it's just not that exotic.
No.
If you live there all the time.
No.
Someone's like, "Go climb to the top of that." You're like, "Why?"
That's when I lived in LA. I never went to the beach.
Oh well, we live here in a place where people move for the great outdoor lifestyle.
Yeah,
we don't go skiing.
No.
We don't go out windsurfing or whatever they do out there.
No. Kayaking.
No,
hiking.
we don't do any of that stuff.
No.
We just walk around our little town.
Look at homeless people.
Although we did enjoy some crab this week.
We did. We had quite the crab feast. Our friend Rory and Nathan.
Yes.
Procured a large amount of Dungeness crab. I still don't really get the whole crab thing.
Well, I was alarmed by the fact that you were I've never cracked my own crab. And I was like, oh, really, little Lord Fauntleroy? Because apparently your mother had always cracked your crab and taken the meat out for you, and you just eaten the meat?
We didn't have crab much as a child, but there was a period where my dad was obsessed with getting crab pots, and he would go out and we'd get all these Dungeness crab. And yeah, my mom would gut them. I don't know what the fuck. You gut them, boil them, and she would. I just remember I'd get a little plate of fluffy crab meat and I'd eat it. I don't know. As much as I appreciated the feast the other day, it still isn't that amazing to me. Everyone else is just...
Oh, I love it.
They're just freaking out about how good it is.
It's great.
And I get this weird, crusty spider-looking thing.
Yeah.
I get some strange tools that look like they should be in a dentist's office. I start crushing the thing. There's little splinters of shell falling everywhere. I pull out these tiny little pieces of meat. I get a little pile at the end. I eat it. It tastes like... kind of a little bit of flavor. I don't know. There's not much
flavor. That's your problem. You're sitting over there, you're like, I can't get any meat out of this thing. And you just take the, like, leg of the crab and just, like, squish it. And you'd be like, what's going on? And you'd have a bunch of meat and, like, the out shell mixed together. I'm like, no. Just crack it open, like, peel it off and pull the meat out. But you're, like, this ham-handed, like, first caveman. And you're just like, and you're like, me no eat now. I'm like, are you kidding? Use a little bit of dexterity to get the meat out of there.
It just didn't seem worth it to me. And you're one to talk with your giant meat hands. It looks like you'd crush a puppy if you tried to pet it.
Maybe I will. But I can get the crab out.
That's one thing I promise people. I don't know if you're aware of this, but...
somebody pointed this out to me.
Yeah.
People should know that a lot of the things that go on the internet, I don't know about until other people tell me about it.
That's because I'm the person who organizes all this stuff. But I've promised people who leave a review on iTunes, which you should all do. If you search for The Warren and Bradley Show on iTunes, you can leave a 5-star review. We don't want 4-star reviews. We don't want 3-star reviews. We don't want 1-star or 2-star reviews. We want 5-star reviews.
Or 0-star reviews, if those are possible.
No, that's not possible.
Oh, okay.
But if you leave one, Warren will give you an erotic foot massage.
Erotic is a relative term.
Well, yeah, it depends on your own taste, I guess. But
it'll be erotic on some level,
it'll be erotic for him. I don't know if it'll be erotic for you.
But this is what goes on. People are like, hey, look at this. You've been promised that you'll give erotic foot massages. I'm like, have I? Because I didn't commit to that.
It doesn't matter if it's out there now. You have to honor our commitment.
Is that a contract?
It is. Well, I've noticed things that you post on Twitter too. Like you posted a request for reviews too, where it's like 5-star reviews with all these exclamation points.
Oh yeah, I did do that the other night. Yeah. And I was doing it, and someone was like, "You can't do that. That's not good. That's not fun or funny." I'm like, I don't care. I just want the 5-star reviews.
Yeah,
I'm just ordering people to give me 5-star reviews.
All our web-based marketing research that we're doing here, we're going to piss people off, but I don't care. We want people to listen. We don't even really care if you like it. We just want you to listen to it.
Yeah. I would settle for you just downloading it and then not listening, because then the numbers will go up and we'll be like, wow.
I do like sitting in front of our little feed and I hit refresh a lot. I go, ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. If you have like multiple computers, download it on all the different... I guess you need multiple iTunes accounts, right?
Yeah.
Maybe start up a few iTunes accounts with names that make it look like you're like from other parts of the world, like Albania Chris. And I guess it would be something more Slavic, your name would be.
You know, I did notice that we had some people in the UK.
No way.
We had some people in Romania.
How is that possible?
I don't know. That's global,
is it possible that someone in Romania would download
I don't know,
the podcast?
but you can see the IP address from people. Well, I don't see the actual IP address, but it's logged. And unless somebody's using a gateway in Romania for some reason. But we're a global...
Probably just some way to get money out of us.
This is a global show.
Every time I hear anything about Romania, someone was talking about Romania last weekend. They're like, let me tell you about Romania. And I was like, I know exactly what you're going to say. It's sad there. And they're like, it is sad. Apparently, it's just like, you get there... There's just a bunch of people with like sunken eyes that look desperate. They're trying to steal everything from you.
They have horse carts with like rubber tires on it.
Yeah, and they're like, they're like, look at that camera you got, and you're like, this, and they're like, they want to take it, and they're just so desperate. And apparently there's orphanages there just full of like Romanian children.
There's lots of gypsies there.
Yeah, a lot of those. Then they're not living so well a lot of the time either.
Or Roma, is there? I guess you're not.
You're not. That's like an ethnic slur, calling them gypsies. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I'll call them gypsies if I want to call them gypsies.
You go right ahead. I'm going to say something about Italians now.
Okay.
Pickpocketing does happen. Apparently in the South, it's very common.
This is Europe in general, apparently. There's not as much violent crime as there is here, but there's lots of theft, personal theft.
I know when I was in London, there was a lot of signs on the street like showing somebody with their cell phone and like protect your cell phone, because apparently people just run up and grab your cell phone when you're talking on it.
Oh yeah,
which seems insane. I can't imagine that happening here.
No, I don't think that happens here. Here it's more you might get shot or beaten or murdered, which
are more acceptable to us.
Yeah, it's like with movies, it's okay if there's horrible violence. We're fine with violence. Violence isn't a big deal.
Okay, if you're in England, the bobbies don't have guns, right?
No. But the CID people do, like the actual criminal investigation people do.
So what if I have a group of guys and I have some guns? Mm-hmm. How do they stop me? Do they go get those CID guys to come get me?
Yeah, I mean, they have SWAT teams and stuff like that.
So they have to call them the SWAT team if I have a gun.
I think it's just the normal beat cop walking around doesn't have a gun.
But if I'm like committing a crime, I'm like robbing like Tesco or something, and like I come out and the cop's out there and I see him, he just takes off and tries to call the guys with guns.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be this kind of thing where, how long is it going to take for the guns to get here? It's sort of, it's like if you're robbing a bank here and they find out about it, okay, we'll have our normal, black and white cops.
Yeah.
Well, they're not both colors, it's their cars. And then they'll come, and then the SWAT team will come. I think it's pretty much the same response time.
So my plan to just like rob
you
everything
can't
and run away with my gun as everyone
You can't
flees.
get like a 38 snub nose and go to England and rule the country. I don't think. He's got a gun.
What was that guy's name? William Walker, the American guy who went into Nicaragua in the 19th century with a bunch of guys with guns and just took over the country for a while.
It doesn't happen a lot in Latin America.
Apparently, I think in the 19th century, that was kind of a thing where you get a couple guys, you'd be like, let's just go down and take over a large swath of Latin America or South America. And you go down there, and there's nothing they can do because you're armed. You were like Pizarro with your like hard sword, and you can just take down everybody because you had like a piece of metal.
Yeah.
And there's nothing they could do because they're like, well, what are we going to do? We don't have any metal. Or you had a horse, and they were intimidated by it.
Yeah, and they had armor.
They had armor, they had horses. They had metal.
Yeah, those
tenacity.
Aztecs, they still had like their stone weapons and didn't have a fucking wheel either.
Really?
Yeah, that's weird. They didn't have a lot of roads.
No, if you're going to have a wheel, you're going to need like a road to really use it. Because if you like went out in the woods right now and you're like, I have this like wheelbarrow for you to use, you'd be like, this is useless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I need something better than this.
I think they knew about the concept of the wheel. Like apparently there were children's toys that had wheels on them, but they just didn't. They didn't make widespread use. Nobody marketed the wheel as sort of a...
When was the wheel invented?
I don't know. I think that was a pretty early on.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Is there like a first wheel somewhere?
I don't know.
Like some guy found the first wheel, the oldest wheel?
Well, I think it was an evolution. They first had kind of a square.
Oh God!
With some spokes. And then,
How sad is that?
This isn't working too
well. You have
well.
your little wheelbarrow with like a square wheel. You're pushing it around. People are like, "Wow, that's a good invention." You're like, "I don't know. There's something. I feel like I could improve on this." Then you have a triangular wheel eventually, and then finally, some genius comes up with a round wheel.
I think about that sometime. If we were to take a group of people, like 100 people from all walks of life, and then just throw them into a completely untouched natural environment.
Yeah.
How long it would take them to develop some of the technology, because most of the shit that we have now, we have no idea how it came about, because it's been built upon hundreds and hundreds of years of scientific discovery and industrial change. It's because even though we know about wheels, we know about fire, we know about all these different things, would we be able to produce any of this stuff?
Well, this is the problem if we have some sort of like apocalyptic thing happen, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the division of labor, because there's so many of us, we'd just be fucked completely.
Yeah, I think so.
Because we wouldn't be able to like adapt to what was going on because we have no skills. We have like, we can work with computers. Fuck your computer skills. Your ITT tech degree, like throw it out the window because you're done. But if you're like some guy living in Papua New Guinea, you're fine.
Well, yeah,
you're living in the hills.
Your life
everything's
wouldn't
the same.
be that much different.
No, you're like everything's cool here.
Yeah, I think about that because I at least have a working knowledge of maybe theoretically how to do a lot of these things to survive.
That's different.
I haven't actually had to do any of them, so I'm not sure how that would work. Like, I know how you can make fire. I've never tried to do it without a match. I think I could eventually make it work, but
It's hard. It is just hard.
There'd probably be some cold nights for a while.
If you survive this first cold
Even
night.
just growing crops, we don't know what the fuck we're doing because you can't just plant seeds and grow them year after year. You have to make sure you have pure strains. There's all sorts of crap going on.
You're telling
there.
me, I tried to get the garden going in the backyard of my house.
Yeah, you're pathetic little garden.
And I kind of hoed it a little bit, and I tried to pull the rocks and the weeds out, and I planted all the stuff. I'm like, this is going to be great. We'll be eating the stuff for months. And I think I got one bean plant, and apparently they were like pole beans. So it just started growing up, and then I had to like hook it on a tree. Yeah. So it was kind of growing up this tree, and then I didn't pick them, so they're just these giant banana-sized green beans. And I was like, who wants some of these? People are like, those are disgusting. I don't want a banana-sized green bean. Yeah. I'm like, success.
So I'll look to you. You'll be the agricultural chairman in our rebuilt society. What can I do? I can build things, I guess. I know a little bit about that, but then I'd have to I'd be sitting around trying to mix concrete out of gravel or something.
I think we're going to have to go directly back to hunter-gatherer. We're not going into an agricultural society.
We're not going into like a pre-industrial.
No. We're going way back.
That's still way far in advance.
Yeah. We have to like start getting some berries.
Even metallurgy and stuff. Because I'd want to make swords. That would be kind of first on my list.
Yeah, that's one of your things you're really into.
Oh, yeah. But that would take a lot of trial and error, I think.
Oh, yeah. Would you know how to go about getting metal out of the ground?
Well, I kind of do. But I don't know if I'd be able to recognize, like, oh, here's some iron ore.
Is that what they do? You dig down and you find a rock that has it in it, and then you, like, cook it and the metal comes out?
It depends on where you are. There's some places that only have access to, like, iron sand, where they just take sand and smelt that and get the iron out. There's places, it just depends.
And then you, like, melt it, the sand, and then, like, it sort of strains out the metal, and then you
put it in a
sword.
crucible, and the things that isn't pure burns away, and then you have... But you have all sorts of different metals in there, too. I don't know how to get just pure iron or mix it to make steel. I mean, I don't know. That's why it took thousands of years for people to develop this technology.
Well, I've been thinking about this week, too, because, I mentioned Stalin and Mao earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I've been reading about the Cold War. I've been kind of into it, and now I was thinking about, we were so close to nuclear apocalypse that now I'm like, wonder what would have happened. How would have we rebuilt society?
See, that's the trouble with the whole nuclear war. Well, one of the troubles is that all the fallout and everything.
It just goes on forever.
Yeah.
And then it's like, ugh.
Because we all like to think about, the world being destroyed and then having to fend for ourselves.
Yeah, we all do.
That's a fun fantasy, but it has to be a nice apocalypse. It has to be the kind of apocalypse where you could still grow crops, where people don't have this horrible radiation sickness and strange mutants are running around everywhere. Because that's not a very nice apocalypse. That's an apocalypse where you would just probably shoot yourself in the head afterwards.
Yeah, if there's like acid rain and like fallout from the rain every time, there's just it'd be terrible.
A good apocalypse would be some sort of horrible infectious disease that wipes out, 99% of the population and society crumbles. And then the people who are left are immune to the disease. Yeah. So, but you could still grow crops. There's still natural. There's
so basically,
still life.
It's just like the world is now, except for there's just fewer of us.
And all the structures of modern society would crumble because there weren't enough people.
Yeah, like the electricity wouldn't work. Yeah. Everything kind of go down. But all the buildings would be there. You wouldn't have to worry about like some like radioactive poisoning from the
mutants
water or something.
Hunting you and things like that.
Mutants. Oh God, can you imagine?
Yeah. Oh, I have imagined it, Warren, many, many times. But yeah, that'd be a good one. But the problem is that, like, let's say only 1% of the population survived. I doubt it would be just a uniform spread throughout all the populations on Earth.
There'd be certain ethnic groups that would probably be more prone to not getting the disease.
Well, and I would assume that in more industrialized nations, probably fewer people would die of the horrible disease. Maybe.
Or maybe more industrialized nations, like, things would spread faster because of the communications and people are running around everywhere spreading this disease. Yeah, it's a fun thing to think about.
Yeah. Get like a harem. Because that men would be going crazy and they'd just be... You'd find women and protect them from the other men.
That's when it gets kind of dark, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it's an apocalypse. It's going to be pretty dark.
Yeah, I guess. I know we think about in glowing terms of all the freedom we would have, but really it'd be like the road. You know what I mean?
It would. I think to a certain extent people would be like, hey, let's pull together and work this out. But for the most part, when society crumbles, I think a lot of people are just going to be every man for himself and just going fucking crazy.
I think you'd have to like try to like consolidate some sort of like control of your tribe and get a group with some sort of hierarchy there, and then you would be able to protect a certain area. That's how I always pictured it.
And it would be tough. It would be tough keeping control of that tribe because the younger ones would constantly be challenging you for dominance. You'd have to be having these. You'd make your rock knives, and you'd be fighting each other with the rock knives.
Well, at some point, but I mean, that stuff shakes out for a few years.
Yeah.
This always happens in your dictatorships, too, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have, like, chaos for a while, then eventually it shakes out that you kind of, like, consolidate this control, and you have some sort of, like, superstructure of power in society, because it's better than the state of nature.
I was thinking about that recently, is I need to get laser eye surgery because
of the apocalypse?
Yeah, if the apocalypse comes... I have a few pairs of contacts right now.
You just need glasses.
Yeah, the glasses aren't going to last.
Are you afraid they're going to get
either.
smashed?
Yeah, someone's going to smash. You've read Lord of the Flies, where they stole Piggy's glasses.
Yeah. You're definitely Piggy.
I'm not Piggy.
Next time on the Ward and Bradley Show.
she has all this
For some
money.
reason, you're wearing like a leopard print kind of Speedo.
Because I have to like fit into the image.
I don't know.
But I'm mostly just like, I gotta get away from this woman. She's awful. And it's not good.
I'm a man.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like,
Of course, our impersonation of women is always. It's like the screechy harpy. So they'll be like, okay, white people, you can take this baby. It's broken.
The Warren and Bradley Show. Available on iTunes and at warrenandbradley.com.